Hey Walking Dead fans, this is Here's Negan, which is a comic that was split into 16 parts and put into Image Comics. It has been released as a complete volume. The comic describes the backstory of Negan and how he got the famous barbed wire bat. The first page opens with Negan in his garage where he just beat a young boy at a game of ping pong. He's gloating over his victory and he's challenging the boy's friends, but they are in shock because he cusses a lot and they start to run away. One of the kids apologizes for his friend being such a pussy and then runs away, so Negan then sits back in a chair and cusses himself. A woman approaches, which is his wife. She's very upset with him because the parents of those kids just called and said that he cussed them out. She says to him that he should be a role model and needs to act better. He could be fired from the school where he works as a coach and PE teacher. Now there's been a lot of rumors that he's also a used car salesman, but I haven't found proof of this anywhere, only except where Jeffrey Dean Morgan said he portrays the character of Negan as a used car salesman. So before the wife can leave the garage, she passes out. She collapses onto the ground. Negan rushes to her side. A man walks up. Negan yells, "Call 911." And then they are at the hospital. The doctor delivers some bad news to Negan and his wife that she has cancer. Then we find Negan in bed with another woman, his mistress. But when he tells her about his wife and her cancer, the mistress ends the relationship. Then Negan reveals to his wife that he was cheating but ended the relationship, and she's mad at him, wondering why he picked the sick one. So as time passes, Negan's wife gets more and more sick. We see him at the hospital bed, his wife just living with the help of machines. While Negan is confessing his love for his wife, an alarmed doctor comes in and says the hospital has to be evacuated. Negan refuses because his wife won't be able to be moved. We see him look out the window and see the apocalypse starting on the streets below. Dead people walking, people running, cars on fire. After the doctor comes asking Negan to evacuate and he refuses, Negan blocks the door and goes over to his wife saying that he's glad that she's sleeping through this, but realizes she has died. He hears a lot of noises outside the window and goes back to see things have escalated dramatically. He hears a noise, and when he turns around, he sees that his wife has fallen onto the floor, grasping at him. As he sees her fall from the bed, Negan calls her by her name, Lucille. As she reaches out for him, he tries to talk her back, but he can't. He starts to cry and places a kiss on her forehead and leaves the room. As he leaves, he finds a young man being attacked by some walkers. He takes a fire extinguisher and kills them, but then he's distraught because he realizes he just murdered 2 people. The boy thanks Negan for saving his life and offers to help him. Negan asks if he can go down to the room and take care of one that's there. He was not able to do it himself, and the boy does it. Then they leave the hospital and the boy says he needs to get home. Negan stops him and says that he'll drive him. So they make their way to the parking garage. During the walk they are talking, the boy notices his rudeness. Negan says he traded in nice for funny a long time ago. So as they continue to walk toward the car and talk, a walker suddenly comes out and attacks the boy and kills him. After that, Negan drives home and is seen boarding up windows, and then he is seen alone on the road. Time passes, we see a bearded Negan trying to steal gas from a group of men, but then he decides to join them. After joining this group of guys, time passes and Negan gets along with them fairly well. He does lie about his past, saying that he hasn't lost anyone. Then at a campfire one night, while talking about his mighty penis, the whole group is clueless to the walkers closing in. Negan notices them and begins to fight. After killing a couple, he turns to the group and notices they are all dead. One of the other guys in the group, Paul, had a bat. Negan picks it up and starts killing the walkers. He does throw the bat down and start to walk away, but then turns back for the bat and straps it to his backpack. So then we go through a series of events that show Negan meeting other people. He tries to help them and help keep them alive. One after the other, 2 or 3 at a time, They keep dying on him. They make stupid mistakes and they all die. Then it shows a couple of people with Negan. One dies, one gets bit, and Negan just says he's really sick to death of all the people he's encountered because all they ever do is die. Then we see him hunting in the woods and cooking a meal over a campfire. A man comes out of the trees hoping to join Negan and get a meal. He says his name is Dwight. Dwight has a crossbow in the comics which mirrors Daryl's crossbow in the show. Daryl, of course, is not a character in the comics, and the crossbow is a signature weapon of Dwight in the comic. Dwight ends up talking Negan into going back to his camp. He ensures Negan that it's not a trap. When he tries to introduce Negan to the rest of the group, he just says, forget it. If they live long enough, I'll learn their names. So Negan joins this group. Time passes. Winter arrives. The group find a hotel. When the hotel gets overrun, he battles his way out. Nobody has to die today, he says. As the group escapes the hotel, Negan is nowhere to be found. But then he is shown struggling with a large number of walkers on his way out and barely escapes, screaming, shoot, shoot. So then we see Dwight was the leader of their group. He's being usurped by Negan. They leave the hotel, time passes, and they still haven't found another safe place yet. The weather gets colder. Negan tells the group to grab extra layers of clothing, and he says warmth over style, unless you find something with both, and that's when he sees the leather jacket like you see him wearing in the show. So it was here that Dwight asked him what did he do before the apocalypse, and he explained he was a gym teacher. As they are holed up in a store, another group comes along and Negan invites them in. The leader of that group pulls a gun on Negan, but Negan says, hey, we got guns too, but we don't point them at the living. Then we see the man from the other group offering Negan a woman, telling him to let him know if he wants to try the merchandise. We see that Negan is visibly angered by this. Then Negan asks the man what he meant by his comment. And when he confirms his offer, Negan explains what it's like to have loved someone and goes on that people should love each other more now and rely on each other now more than ever. He says that if a person is willing to do that to a woman, they are closer to a walker than a person. So then he says, whatever you guys were doing before, it stops, or we're parting ways. But the other leader is not going for that and shoves Negan into some barbed wire. So when Negan untangles himself from the barbed wire, he grabs his bat and strikes the man in the face. The rest of the group is very shocked watching these events unfold. Negan beats the man down and warns the other members of his group, stand back or they are next. He then tells the group what they witnessed was really graphic, and he probably got a little carried away, but it couldn't be helped. He asks them if they are scared of him, scared of dying, and he reassures them that they should be scared. But he senses the group isn't really processing what just went on, so he stops for a minute and he goes over to the barbed wire fencing and takes some of the wire. He tells the group to stand still and orders Dwight to watch them. He kneels by the fire, cleans the bat, and wraps it in barbed wire. He goes back to the group, he acknowledges the fear and the confusion, and he introduces them to his newly created weapon that he calls Lucille. He says a big speech about his wife, and he learned something after watching so many weak people die, scared, sad. He felt nothing for them or himself. He goes on to say why he realizes he felt nothing and that it was Lucille. He said that she put him in a bubble where nothing got to him and helped him survive. So as an alternative to watching people in his group die, he will let Lucille protect them. He promises them if they will stand with him, anyone who tries to get in their way will end up like the dude on the floor. Then Negan goes on to claim that they are the saviors. But one of the other group members steps forward and asks, why should we follow you after what you did to our leader? And Negan answers, fall in line, or he will make them fall in line. He says, I know you may not be accustomed to taking shit from anyone, but things are different now, because here's Negan. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the channel for many more. Please comment below with thoughts, ideas, or just to say hi. I'll join you there. Stay healthy. This is James in Nashville. As always, guys, thanks for watching. And stay tuned for more dead stuff.
You know what I'm saying? It's toughy, but that's the way we roll.